Fun fact, Jack. You want to know a fun fact?
Tell me, Hack, what? What happened?
Today I actually met someone named Justice.
Justice?
Her name was actually Justice, spelled exactly how it's read.
Hey, get that person, and then I know a hope and a blessing. We'll get them all together.
I'm just and of all places, I met her at a Whataburger.
Justice for Whataburger. Down with Chicago. Down with Chicago.
Yeah, so I found Justice at Whataburger. Maybe I'll see her. Maybe I'll see her again. Who knows? And but that just struck me as odd. I had to, and when of course when I saw that, I just had to comment on her name. Thankfully, it was a compliment. Said, "Hey, I like your name." I didn't try to make some dumb pun, which probably you would have done if you had the courage.
Yeah.
So, justice for all.
Speaking of names, there was a
Mm-hmm.
student that had a weird name. Okay, it's spelled Kiarai, and it's just Kiara. The I is silent apparently. So
I must ask this. Was this student black?
yes, yes, it does make a
I
lot of sense.
figured as much.
It makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
that makes more sense now. That makes more sense now, unfortunately. Why do Hispanics have to feminize the word Juan?
Fine. I know, huh?
Juan, Ben Juanita, Ben. What is that? Juanita? No,
Juanito.
that's.
They say Juanito for the guy,
Oh
and they
god.
say
Oh,
Juanita for the girl.
oh no. I feel bad for any girl named Juanita. It's like what? Because
well,
I guess if you were to put in English, I guess the feminine version of John would be Jean.
hey, how do you get the feminine version of Fernando? Because there's Fernanda.
Fernanda.
Yeah, remember we had a friend named Fernanda too in high school.
We did.
Yes,
I don't
her
recall.
real her first name is Maria, but her middle name was Fernanda.
I let it known to the court. I do not recall this woman.
You never recall. You didn't even recall me.
You know how my selective memory works.
Yeah, you throw out the ones that apparently are deemed unimportant to you. That's why we call you a
Yes, that.
hack.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hack Jack Show. I am the genuinely beautiful and ever forgetful Hack.
I doubt that, but I am Jack. I got nothing else to say because I'm still kind of mad.
And welcome to episode 8 of the Hack Jack Show. We got a full course of little fun stories we want to share, and of course, with the main event talking about what has been going on between the Disney, Sony, and Spider-Man. But before we get to that, I want to share some little fun stories. Jack, so did you know that right now you can order from a company your specified bra and knickers made for men?
Why?
Because god dang, it's 2019.
It makes no sense. Just get if you're really gonna do that, just get the. We don't really have boobs, so just get the smaller size bra size, like the smaller bra sizes for your moobs and moob accessories.
Fear not. If you're one of those interesting individuals who love wearing women's clothing for untranny reasons, those exist. Well, you can look up the company Home Mystere, and you can set yourselves up with some nice for men designed bras and knickers, or panties if you're American. So yeah, um, I just now cursed out with that knowledge. Let's move on
I'm,
to to another small story.
and I'm still thinking about that. That's disturbing to me.
And to another small story we have is that for for a fan for this is for video game fans. Well, this is specific for gamers, but most specifically for people who love the Yakuza series or are wanting to get more after playing the really successful Yakuza 0 and hopefully the remake of the first one. Don't fear, because there's gonna be a remastered collection for Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 for the PS4. So yes, folks, you can now officially play all the Yakuza games up to this point for PS4. Do not know about PC. Hopefully that is a thing. Hopefully that does come in. Yakuza games usually are on PC, but and right now, as of this recording, you can get the remastered Yakuza 3 in 1080p and 60 frames per second.
Hmm, cool.
So, yep. Now I can finally understand the complexity of Yakuza, especially since I was introduced to this series many years ago through the fourth game, and there's a lot of questions I had. A lot of questions. Regardless, so that's a little good news for Yakuza fans outside of Japan. And finally, another for our small story, something silly. So, Jack, I want to ask you, what what do the characters Nick Fury and Mace Windu have in common?
I don't know. What do they have in common?
Pretty simple. They're played by the same actor, Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, there is an actual article where the directors of Endgame had to disprove the theory that Nick Fury and Jedi Master Mace Windu were not the same character.
Huh.
A
Interesting.
character in the MCU is not a character in Star Wars. I have many questions. Many
Avengers next
questions.
Star Wars. Confirmed.
That could happen. That could happen. Disney can make it happen, but I'm just thinking to myself, really? Are there people that's stupid enough to think two characters are the same because they're played by the same actor?
Yes. I
But
wouldn't
here's
put
the
it
worst
past them.
part.
Like I really.
But here's the worst part is I can forgive that if it's a simple thing of like kind of like how our parents are, where they call any game system a Nintendo. I'll forgive that. But in this case, no, this is more deeper because it's not just that people thought they were the same person, but that it was a plot hole in the cinematic Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was a legitimate plot hole.
How?
I don't know. I don't know how can it be a plot hole. And there's an actual article where after quoting the directors, the writer then goes on to be like, you know what, this might be far-fetched, but and then tries to spend some nonsense about it may actually happen. Who knows? Who
No, it's
knows?
far fetched. No, there is no but to it. It's just far fetched.
Yeah, there's there's no buts, there's no yets, and there's no ands. So, just want to share that's an actual article you guys can read. Have fun with that. And with a little this little fun news out of the way, we're gonna go on to a few little small discussions before we go into our big topic. The first one I want to mention is that we have an Evo story from this past Evo. And Jack, you aren't aware of this, but guess what? If you were one of the attendees at this year's Evo,
Hmm.
there is a chance you might have gotten the measles.
The measles. Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah, so it says here that last Thursday night, as the writing of this article, which is August 16th, the Southern Nevada Health District released a report that a visitor to the Mandalay Bay and Luxor Hotel, who was there between August 1st and 6th, had a case of the measles. Evo 2019 was held August 2nd through the 4th in roughly the same places, with most of the action happening in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. It's unclear if the person had the measles was an Evo attendee or a competitor, or just someone who happened to be there. The Mandalay Bay Convention Center, where most of EO's conventions took place, was not listed in the report. However, due to the highly contagious nature of the measles virus, it is possible that evil attendees were exposed either way. Now, on the bright side, if you're a smart individual and got your measles shots like you should, this is a non-issue. But for those who either have not gotten their shots yet or for some reason don't want to vax yourself and you were in that area around that time,
Or they're allergic to vaccines, and that is the case sometimes.
that is true. But then there's also, isn't there like an alternative to that too? It's not just, oh, well, you're screwed.
No, no, I don't think so. But for the most part, even if there is a secondary option, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be more expensive than the other thing.
Oh, well, you're screwed. So, yeah, if you were there in Las Vegas during Evo, you probably got the measles. You know, Jack, I'm actually surprised that there's been, throughout this year, there's been like measles stories popping up. I really think measles is having a comeback. You think measles is getting a comeback?
I feel like the way you phrased it is like a band that's just like you were excited to see, but no one else is
I'm.
excited to see at all. This is
I
this
mean,
is
come
gonna be
on.
an official Jack announcement. Please take your vaccines. Take all your shots. If you're one of the unlucky ones that are allergic to the vaccines, I'm not really sure what y'all can do, but just be careful out there. And this is specifically now I'm talking specifically to those people that use crystals and essential oils. Vaccines don't cause autism. You reading that article about autism and vaccines is what causes autism.
And you know what else causes autism?
What else?
Genetics.
Yes. But
Indeed.
but yeah, vaccine. Remember the guy that made that whole paper is not even a doctor. You might say he is, but no. Once when he made that paper and pretty much lied every number about it, he got his
And,
doctorate uh like taken away from him. So he's not a doctor.
and also, as soon as you're talking about that, look at the comments in the article. First comment: F anti-vaxxers.
Press F in chat, everyone else. F in chat.
Yep, for all those anti-vaxxers, we'll see you. Hopefully, the when the measles are touring around the world, hopefully, they don't go to your could go to your area, man. They're gonna bang out some good singles. I tell you what. Actually, that does sound like a name for a good band. The Measles. Sounds like a good name for a
Maybe
punk
because it
band.
sounds
Probably.
like the Weasels, and that I think that is a band.
Yeah, it sounds too good. If it sounds too good, it probably already's been taken. Oh well. So yeah. So thank God. So weird story, but hey, it is what it is. It's not like thankfully there's no case reports of the super gonorrhea, so we're glad that didn't happen.
Super gonorrhea. it
Moving on.
was
All right.
done by Super Bin Laden.
So, oh, you think I'm joking?
Oh wait, is it actual true? Oh Jesus.
Moving on.
Damn.
We're gonna right now move on to to another semi small story. The new title for the 25th James Bond movie has been revealed with a little teaser. Teaser's nothing much; it's just him doing the walk like he does in all James Bond openings. The movie now, however, is now called No Time to Die. Very
Hmm.
James Bond, John Bond movie. The title you could definitely do worse. I mean, you can do Octopussy, but hey, No Time to Die, pretty generic, but it'll do. However, I wanted to share a joke with Jack, and it will be shown in the video of a tweet that when someone highlighted a specific phrase that you can find within the title sequence itself. So, Jack, I'm gonna go ahead and share the tweet with you right now, and see if you see what I'm looking at. So there you go.
Oh my god, no. Please, no.
And here's and of course if you have seen it already, um, in the in the way No Time to Die is titled, you can very see that the phrase "Me Too" is you can pretty much spell it out right within the title. Clever joke? Maybe. Coincidence? Probably. However, I do want to also factor in that during production of this Bond movie, the studio, so Sony, literally hired a very pro-feminist writer to bring relevance to Bond in the Me Too era. So, like I said, probably coincidence, but still, is a pretty clever joke. I'm probably not going to see this Bond movie. That's probably the last news I heard of it. Unless it's surprisingly good, but I doubt it because I don't like Daniel Craig.
Hmm.
He's just, he's just nothing manly about him. I don't know.
Well, I haven't seen the newer James Bond with him, so I can't tell anything.
I guess if I had to give a comparison, if I had to give a comparison, imagine. Let's see. What would be a good comparison? So if the Bonds previous to the current one, imagine they were imagine they were Leon Kennedy around the
Hmm.
time of RE4 to RE6,
Huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Craig's James Bond, he will be Leon in RE2. So yeah, I think that's best as I can describe it. No power bombing zombies over here or doing what was that move? Oh, that's right, the most American wrestling move ever, the German suplex.
Yeah,
Oh
or
well.
punch them or kick them in like with a small kick that has a force to make them spin multiple times in midair.
Oh, that's right. Ricky, that's a freaking Tekken maneuver because you can do that same thing in Tekken, where there's some punches and kicks have an effect where where the opponent getting hit, they literally do like a spiral, a spiral like launch, and from there you can continue juggling them. It's fun. But now we're gonna move on to something that's more in Jack's area of the yard in regards to the recent news regarding Halo Infinite. Jack, you want to take this story proper since you are the Halo fan around here?
Well, okay, I'll take reins on over this, but I was pretty much a big fan of Halo until like around five. You know why,
Like most,
and you know
like
why.
most, I think most people know why. Most Halo fans, I should
Well,
say.
you specifically, you've seen the video I sent you.
Oh yeah, that amazing choreography, right up there with the raid. But going on.
Anyways, so I don't know much about the people in the 343 industries. I only know the big ones from Bungie. But recently, with the let me just say the title or the title of the article says here, Halo Infinite creative director leaves 343 Industries. So pretty much the creative director Tim Long left 343 Industries. So right now they're pretty much out of a creative director close to the launch of the game, like in the like at the last year, and this is pretty big because it's usually the time where a lot of crunch time is.
Yeah, this is pretty much the time where everyone's working on the game, and one of the head guys starts to, you know what? I'm done. See you guys. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'm gonna smoke a joint or something. If that happens, that's gonna tell you how Halo Infinite is going to be when it releases. Is and if I also recall, isn't it's not even like a proper Halo game, right? It's gonna be some multiplayer nonsense.
No, so this one is gonna be a proper Halo game. It's pretty much a. I think they said something about like a either a reboot of some sorts, but
Oh,
what's
there we go.
this is what's worse from a video I was watching because I saw this before and I forgot to like it completely just like went from one ear out the other. But pretty much what happened is he was explaining that Tim Long was also probably the campaign developer or creator. Yeah, the let's see, campaign director. Yeah, so he was both the campaign director and the creative director, and that's not a pretty good sight. Like it's not a pretty good start right now in the sense of like where they're at because we all know all the people, all the Halo fans know that what made Halo was the really good story. The multiplayer is just icing on the cake. Very very good icing, but nonetheless, everyone loved the campaigns for Halo. And to see someone that was probably the campaign director leave as well, it's kind of worrisome.
Now, now, I think this goes without saying, but you don't have any plans to get this game since it's gonna be actually. Oh no, actually, I'm speaking too early. So actually, I want to change my question. Do you plan on getting the game since this game is gonna be released on PC?
Yes, I am going to get the game once when it's released. I'm gonna most likely wait a week to see how it goes. You know how it is with me. Unless if I know exactly if it's gonna be a great game right off the bat, I won't pre-order or buy on the first day. So it won't really stop me from buying the game, mostly because I've missed a proper Halo game for a good while, and all the other little games I've played that have like a Halo esque or even Halo Forge, they're just not cutting it.
Yeah, I know that feeling very well, especially with Marvel vs. Capcom. Oh man, they just had to port the games. That's all they need to do. But no, they can't do that. They can't sport. They can't port a freaking 25-year-old game into modern consoles. That's just too hard. That's just too hard, Jack. It's too hard.
This
It can't be done.
this is why I'm waiting for that Halo MCC coming out for the PC.
Okay, I genuinely want to ask you: do you think
Hmm.
that collection that's gonna be released on PC? How do you expect that to be have an awful launch, considering I guess
Well,
three for three's history with the collection?
okay, so here's the thing. They have been pretty okay, so they're trying to make sure that they're not launching all the games at once. If I'm correct, Halo MCC on the consoles had both they had all three of the Halos, and I think for now that was it. All three Halos, and they did it on launch day. And I think that was what caused a lot of the whole issues because it was just they did so much. They spread themselves thin. But with this one, they are pretty much doing purely Halo Reach first, which is the Halo prequel. They're doing that first, and then they're doing the rest later. I have I have some faith that they're gonna be keeping their word in the sense of like we promise it won't be a terrible launch, but at the same time I'm hesitating. But even then, I'll just because of hope in Halo, I'll go get through the rough start of the launch date and see how it goes. Pretty much.
Yeah, right. That's yeah. I figured you. I figured it'd be something like that. And besides, it's not like you're gonna need you're gonna need to you're gonna encounter too many problems in just the campaign mode. Because I'm assuming that's the first thing you're gonna do.
Oh yeah, campaign mode all the way. First thing, I remember my friends would always make fun of me for having the highest level in campaign for Halo 3, but that was just because I did not have. Remember, those were when we were kids, so we didn't have our own way of going to work and buying a car, like a membership by ourselves. We had to ask mommy and daddy, and mommy and daddy did not give me any gold membership cards, so most of the times I was just there playing campaign.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah, I mean the
with that,
campaign was good.
yep. And actually, I actually consider maybe if like cause,
Hmm?
because you know my plans of getting a new computer, right? Because then I'll be able to play that game. We can probably it'll be fun to do the Halo 2 co-op with you.
Hey, that would be awesome. Let's do legendary
I
mode
get to
all the way, hard mode, like the hardest mode ever.
God, I'll be able to relive the my brief time with Halo 2 all those years ago.
Halo 2 legendary mode, Iron Skull, activated with the blind eye skull. So pretty much Iron. I think Iron Skull was like if you died, you had to restart the whole level, and Black Eye was you have to punch something to actually regain shields or health.
I want to have a good time, not a frustrating time. Oh well. Hopefully that will be a reality. It most likely will be since I am determined to upgrade my hardware.
So am I.
Well, and with that, all the our appetizers are finished, and now we go on to another appetizer. Actually, but this one relates somewhat to the main course. So a little small appetizer to bring out the little get the, this is pretty much your water. It's more your drink, really. Sony has bought the Insomniac Games, who, if you don't know, were the developers responsible for for last year's PS4 Spider-Man game, and as well developers of a little series called Ratchet and Clank.
Hmm.
Honestly, I always thought Sony did own them because of how much of their games are on Sony games, on Sony consoles. So I was like, oh, okay. It's just like, it's just nothing really changes. It's like, oh, okay. It's just official now.
Yep,
They probably have a better pay negotiation, I assume.
probably.
And and of course, there's also and this also brings absolute certainty that the sequel for last year's Spider-Man not only is not just a guarantee, but most likely could be, oops, excuse me, most likely will be coming out on the PlayStation 5. So, if you want to play the Spider-Man game, better cough up for the PS5. I legit wonder what's gonna make that so different PS4.
Let's just hope that the sequel, has less MJ levels.
Oh, don't. Oh God, don't. you know what? Don't even call her MJ. She's less MJ than the MJ in the new Spider-Man movies.
Oof.
I just refer to her as Mary Lane. You know
Mary
why?
Lane.
You know why? Because she acts more like Lois Lane than Mary
That
Jane.
is
So
true.
just, I mean, think about it. She is a reporter, and most of the time she's snooping around in places she's not supposed to be, and she ends up being saved by Spider-Man. I wonder who that sounds like.
Yeah, and a lot of things, a lot of the levels could have been fixed if she just told Spider-Man where she was at.
The entire game could be fixed if you were just Spider-Man. Isn't isn't and it's not like the thing she did was only something Mary Jane could done, and that goes to Miles too. I'm pretty sure Peter has the know-how to make some sort of hacking equipment.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was just a big mistake on Insomniac's part. Hopefully they learn for the next game. But yeah, that is has been official, and now, ladies and gentlemen, now we go on to our main course, and with that, we as we most people already know, Marvel and Sony, I'm sorry, Disney and Sony are going their separate ways, and while they're still in the negotiation talks, I will say clarify they're still negotiating. There is a high probability that the MCU will no longer have Spider-Man. Now, Jack, I wanna ask you,
Hmm.
do you know the reason why this is happening?
To be honest, no. I just don't see why they are hesitant on letting Spider-Man get back in the MCU. But at the
Well,
same time, I
here
get
it
it.
here is what is going on. So this comes. So I'm gonna be reading an article here from Balance Comics, and
Hmm.
this is what has been reported. The initial report regarding Sony and Disney's split indicated Sony's Tom Rothman and Disney's Alan Horn and Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige could not come to a financial understanding. Deadline reported Disney wanted a 50-50 co-financing deal that would include not only Spider-Man, but the Spider-Man universe films such as Venom and Morbius. The Hollywood reports The Hollywood Reporter reports Disney wanted a 30% stake. Sony reportedly rejected this offer. Instead, Sony offered to continue the current deal, which gives Disney 5% of first dollar gross. Disney Marvel Studios reportedly rejected this deal.
Ah, I see.
So, so it all comes down to that Disney wants a bit more money for having Spider-Man. Now, I would do want to clarify that no matter what company Spider-Man ultimately ends up being with, it's no one's gonna be completely happy, and this is gonna cause more issues. At least this is how I view it. If he goes back with Sony, well, how, they're probably gonna mess him up for the third
Let's
time.
just hope
Spe-
it's gonna be with Tobey Maguire again doing the dancing.
or at least, well, Spider-Man 4 will be nice, but that's a dream long dead. As much as I wish it was still a possibility.
Pete's time.
And if it sticks if he ultimately sticks with Disney, yeah, he's essentially put back in the proper place. However, um, I'm sad to say, ladies and gentlemen, but uh, this is a controversial hack opinion. I don't like MCU Spider-Man
Gasp.
at all.
I am also
I know
shocked.
if I had a sounder button, I would put the I'll put that sound clip, but unfortunately I do not.
You can't tell by my emotion, but I'm actually very shocked.
Wait, I never told you this?
But no, I am actually kind of like confused on why.
Oh, huh. I'm actually surprised I never rambled with you about about this thing. I guess it never came up.
Well, now there
Okay.
you got let's see, 5 minutes to ramble on. See if you can tell me why.
Okay. Okay. Crap. All right.
Starting
Here we
now.
go. All right. So my fundamental reason why I dislike um, MCU Spider-Man, it comes down to the fact that a fundamental core essence, I should say, of Spider-Man's story and character was changed so dramatically that I cannot accept the MCU Spider-Man as any incarnation of Spider-Man equal to past iterations or even the comics. And what I mean by this is that I don't like the fact that essentially the role of Uncle Ben is replaced with Tony Stark,
Oh, I
and as
see.
well, Peter's motivation to be Spider-Man is not because of what happened to him and his uncle, but because of his admiration for Tony. That's at the fundamental core what I dislike about the character. Now, I will say this, that on its own, disregarding the comics and disregarding past films, the movies and the character is serviceable and I can understand why people like him. They the movies do play well the kind of the father son relationship Tony and Spidey have.
Hmm.
So they do well in that regard. That being said, just because something does well doesn't mean that thing of itself is inherently good. Let's see. Okay, so you got a few minutes. So that's ultimately my that's to me that's the big flaw with this Marvel Spider-Man. And I always say that you do not have to do the entire Uncle Ben story again. You do not. You just all you have to do is just either imply or be subtle about it. And I believe one of the biggest missed opportunities for Homecoming was when Peter was trapped under the rubble. As a comic fan, I clearly saw that as an homage to one of the in the first run of Amazing Spider-Man. So this is when Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were writing and making the art. And in one of the
Hmm.
panels, it was Spider-Man in a similar situation. He was stuck, in this case, under machinery, and he recounts all that has happened so far in the series in his mind, and then he finally remembers what Uncle Ben taught him and what Uncle Ben means to him, and that brings him the motivation to lift the heavy machinery that was that he was trapped in and go off to, I believe, to continue fighting the Green Goblin. I believe that was that last part. I believe that's how it went. In the movie, they did something similar. However, in the moment where that's in that per, per, that motivating factor for him to lift that debris off in the movie, it at that moment I thought that maybe they'll give a hint of Uncle Ben. Maybe he remember his words, or maybe he sees like an image of him in that little reflection that he was looking at, if you recall the scene.
Hmm.
But no, it was Tony. And when that happened in the
Huh.
theater, all my enthusiasm, all my this is a fun, like kind of like a teen movie, it washed away because I was like, that's not Spider-Man. He does not idolize Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's
Spider-Man,
true.
as a fundamental character, is driven by the ultimately the guilt that he has over Uncle Ben and for the love of his uncle.
Well, to I guess clarify that, I would say more like Peter, right? Instead of because there's also other Spider-Mans.
No, Peter is Spider-Man as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay.
F. Miles Morales.
Oh, fine.
That's another topic. So yes, and as well, that's my as well to close out because my 5 minutes are about to come up. That's my ultimate flaw with MCU Spider-Man. Everything else, I have to admit, it's more just kind of nitpicks or just decisions I don't like. I don't like young Aunt May. I don't like the fact that Spider-Man is so interconnected with the Avengers. I don't like the new MJ or his love interest or whatever. And lastly, all his supporting characters suck. So there.
Well, I could see your points. I could see your points.
Yeah. And and I will say this, Jack, I'm like literally in the minority opinion. So I can accept of people being like, oh, this is a different version or they're doing a new thing. I'm like, fine, go. Let me know how you feel when there's a Batman story and his parents don't die.
Huh. Then there
Let
wouldn't
me know
really
when
be a Batman.
uh-huh. Let me tell me how you feel when there's a Superman story and his planet doesn't blow up.
I see what you mean.
So that's all I gotta say on that matter. So, with that opinion expressed, of course, when I heard this news, I was like cackling like a madman.
Yeah, I saw your I saw your tweet on I saw your tweet and pretty much it was just Bender laughing. He's like, "Oh wait, you're serious? I'm gonna laugh harder now."
Oh my gosh! It's just, it's just this is what must the Dark Knight Joker must feel. Just pure chaos. I'm on no one's side in this thing. If he's with Marvel, I don't care. I'm not gonna watch those movies. Is he's with Sony? Well, let's see what trash fire they can cook up. Either way, either way, it's a win. It's a lose lose for everyone else. It's a win win for me.
Let's see them Spider-Man finger guns again.
Pew 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 pew. So yes. So now, like I said, negotiations are still happening. There is no official word on Spider-Man's stance. Of course, majority of people wanting to stay with Marvel. That's understandable. Now, but I want to actually, Jack, I want to play devil's advocate here. I want us to play devil's advocate because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get tons of videos of people who who give the reasons why Spider-Man should stay within Marvel. Just to be a little different, and I want to put you on the spot, Jack, and I can help you out.
Hmm.
Give me your reasons why Marvel should. Oh, no, I'm sorry, why Spider-Man should be with Sony.
Hmm. Okay, let's see. The only reason, uh, without any jokes in there, I don't know. I kind of do want to see Spider-Man fight against Venom, like this current Venom, to see how it is. Because I don't know. As much as some people might say the movie was kind of like I mean, for me, I liked it. I enjoyed it. That's just me. What do you think, Hack? What do you think about the movie?
I enjoyed it as the how I put this. It's kind of like the dollar movie theater experience it is.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's good junk food. Ain't It's good junk food, and honestly, the movie only works because of the main characters. Everything else, the villain, I find him kind of overly over the top, kind of funny. But yeah, not Tom Holland, Tom Hardy, the actor who plays Eddie Brock
Mhm.
and voices Venom, he makes the movie.
Mhm.
So
Definitely. And I just kind of want to see that whole little interaction between Spider-Man and Venom. But let's see, any other reasons? I don't see any other reasons really that I could think of for myself personally.
all right, all right. I'll provide some. This is my aspect. Now, what I'm gonna present here is the ideal Sony, as in like they were smart enough to know how to use Spider-Man, and as good as Spider-Verse is,
Hmm.
I don't think it's the all tier high animation movie that people like to glorify it is. It's a good movie, that doesn't mean that Sony's gonna is somehow been forgiven from the really bad Spider-Man movies. But in this ideal situation, in which they actually get competent directors, writers, and there's no weird situations behind the scenes, I I would have Spider-Man stick with Sony just so that Spider-Man could have his solo adventures. Because as one of my gripes about MCU Spider-Man is that how to he's too connected in a way to the larger MCU world. Now, with things like Infinity War and Endgame, I let that pass because those are supposed to be um, where everyone comes together. That's fine. But as for his own two movies, a lot of people would say of how kind of small Homecoming is, in the sense that is very much just him dealing with a villain, a local villain, and in and of itself is actually fine. But the villain and the villain's actions, and as well much of the supporting cast around Peter, connects too much into the bigger Marvel world that instead of feeling like Spider-Man's own grand adventure, regardless of how small in scale it is, it feels like a side story,
Hmm.
which is not inherently bad, but this is Spider-Man we're talking about. Spider-Man is not a side story character,
True.
and I can't comment on Far From Home because I haven't seen it, but I assume, especially him, uh, with him working with Shield, that just again loses his own uniqueness about him. Because one thing I love about Spider-Man in the comics was pretty much how always on his own he was, and that you never expect anyone to help him, but he still strive through and persevere, regardless of any other superheroes were there to help him. And you truly did feel like you're in Spider-Man's world when you read his comics. Yes, it's part of the big Marvel universe, but there's so much going on in his own life that you don't even need the rest of the Marvel characters. And I believe if Sony were wise enough, they should incorporate that feel, which the original trilogy of Spider-Man did do really well, where Spider-Man feels like his own thing, and he's not connected um, to any other franchises or other superheroes. As and Sony, they have the potential to deliver that. They've done it before. Marvel, unfortunately, they're not willing to do that because every movie has to set up the next one essentially in one way or another. So nothing can ever really feel like its own. Everything has to lead up to an event or to the sequel or to an even something more relevant even down the line. With having Spider-Man isolated and just using his his primary, his secondary, and his tertiary characters, you can do you are in a way is that saying of you have is the saying of you're more creative when you have limits. With that limitation of just using Spider-Man, you can do a lot of great Spider-Man stories, and the comics are a big example of that. Most of those comics are just his stories. Occasionally he crosses over with other characters. Occasionally he joins the big events, but majority of his stories are his own thing. And if Sony were wise, they would do that. And as well, and as well, what the one and my last point to be in support of Sony, and this has been playing devil's advocate. Um, I just don't want to see Tom Holland's dumb face anymore. When the first Homecoming came out, there was just something about the way he looked. It wasn't how young he is. There's nothing like that. Just something about him. I looked at him, and at the time I didn't knew he was British, but I looked at him. I'm like, You're not American. And I couldn't figure out why though, because he looks like a neat typical white guy. Until a YouTuber pointed this out, and that you know why he doesn't look American?
Why?
Because he's not a mutt.
Oh, that is true.
You know, Ra- he's a raised purebred Brit. And because of that, it's like nah, I don't buy you a Spider-Man. He does a good job. He does his job well, but just on looks alone, I'm like, nah. And also, like, also kind of funny how his love interest is literally taller than him.
And you know what? For me, I want Sony to make the rematch for Spider-Man and Sandman. I know it ended off well, but I don't care. I want to do another rematch. I just want to see the fight again.
And if anything, you okay? So actually, I'm gonna stop myself because I'll be going out to another tangent of what ifs and hyping myself up. So I'm not gonna do that. So now I want I want to also discuss why now. I want to also discuss something else entirely with this matter. Now, to understand, I guess the positions going on here and why they're negotiating these deals with the money. I think you know I it is it's kind of weird because you know how Disney is like really this big monopoly at this point, although legally they're not.
Yeah.
You know, and it gets me ready to think that you know should Disney have another property under its belt, even though it technically was one of their other properties to begin with. But regardless, it just feels like it feels like Sony might be the lesser two evils. Sony's still evil. It's still a scumbag company. But at the very least, they might do something interesting with Spider-Man. Maybe um, put put more of like the not cooler stories, but like non origin and non and non sequely stories. What I mean by that is just give us something like in the middle of his life, kind of like this, like the game, how it didn't take place in the beginning of his time. It just took place like during his time as Spider-Man rather than the beginning of it.
Hmm.
I also don't like that where it's everything's already established and he's just and this is his story for the day or story for the week. You know, instead of being like, my name's Peter Parker, and but in secret I'm actually Spider-Man.
So the anime intros were you're next gonna see him coming out of the window with a piece of toast on his mouth, saying something about his senpai having to notice him. Oh wait,
I wasn't
oh
going
wait.
that.
So
I was
since this is the start, Senpai Osborne.
senpai Osborne. You know, I was something of a senpai myself.
Ah, shut up. We don't count. We don't count you as a senpai.
Well, not to you, maybe. Regardless, so this is all happening because Disney is is being greedy. So it's a regular day for them. And Sony, admittedly kind of a smart business decision, are like, no, 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 we're not going to accept that because either way, both companies are making a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and what was it? I had in my head, and also one thing, and also I'm also surprised that Disney is not trying to trying to at least reach halfway with Sony's deal, because if you haven't noticed, Jack, there's not gonna be no more Iron Man Cat movies, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm asking you this: who's is who? Let me ask you this: as of now, who's the MCU's biggest moneymaker?
Thor, right? Well, other than Spider-Man, no.
Can you repeat that again?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, no. Can you
Your
repeat
voice,
your answer? I didn't. I
yeah, like your voice has been cutting off for like pretty much most of the podcast for me. So I've been trying to decrypt the whole message you've been trying to send me.
all the issues, everybody. We can't. We gotta work. We gotta work with it. So, but from what I'm decrypting with my decryption key. I believe you said Thor and Spider Man.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the realities. Thor, he's not really a moneymaker. He's only had really one gigantic movie and two standard ones.
Mhm.
Spider Man, his recent movie just made over $1 billion.
Mhm.
Take Spider Man away from Disney, who do they really have to be the big character for the MCU?
Coming from my decryption powers too, hopefully I got every single sentence you said. Spider-Man, then.
Well, no, I said in a situation where Spider Man is no longer in the MCU, who will be their biggest moneymaker then?
See, my decryption powers failed. Uh, let's see. Uh, I don't know. Doctor Strange,
Nope.
Black Panther.
We'll see. We'll see. Unfortunately, his one movie was big because of essentially just advertising the blackness of it. We'll see how long that lasts, but not really.
I really don't. Is it Hulk?
Hulk was never a big blockbuster.
Okay, I was like wondering if you were trying to lead me towards him. Okay, so you said no Captain America and no Iron Man. Did you say no Iron Man?
That's correct because he's officially dead.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I give up.
Well, there's your answer. Who is there to be the big moneymaker for Marvel if Spidey's gone? What?
Oh,
Going?
okay. You landed me right into a trick question. God dang it. We gotta extend
You
this.
expect Cap?
We gotta extend the podcast somehow.
Do you expect Captain Marvel to be the the poster girl for the MCU?
As much as I love like the meme of America's butt, America's, yeah, I'm not sure if I could say the other word for demonetizing reasons, even though we're having no monetization whatsoever. But still, algorithm.
Yeah. So not so all those characters you mentioned, they make money, but not Iron Man, Captain America money, nor Spider Man money. So none of the extra Avengers, no Doctor Strange, not Captain Marvel, definitely not Captain Marvel. So then, who's gonna entice people to keep watching Marvel movies without Spider Man?
That is true. Very true.
And if you look at the next phase, literally we have a bunch of newcomers, TV shows of side characters, and I think what one sequel.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
So I am surprised that Disney is not like, you know what, Sony, let's meet down the middle. Maybe we can work this out. You know, we're buddies. Come on, we can work something out.
Kimma.
Yeah, basically. So I don't know what Disney's thinking. Either they're doing some type of business strategy that I am not aware of, or they're being stupid. You know, is this like Is this like a 4D underwater chess move from Disney where they're like,
you
we
see,
don't need Spider-Man, and then Sony's like, no, you better have Spider-Man.
you see. This is like how me and my friends when we played League. When we're not doing well in the game, we always say this. Like one of us could be being like, "Oh no, that Draven's going like 10 kills and five and no deaths. We're never gonna win this." One of us always will be saying, "No, no, this is the plan. We first feed them, we first get them big and fat, and then we take their money once when they're dead. It's perfect."
Perfect plan. What can go wrong?
That's exactly what Disney's doing, I guess.
Y- yep. So, I, so now as of the realities of the situation, I don't think Spider-Man is going back to Sony anytime soon. Disney has too. Disney has way too much. What's that? What's that fancy word?
Influence,
No, no, no,
maybe.
not influence. Similar to credit, but no. It's a
Hmm.
economic term.
Pressure?
No, not pressure. That's it's kind of like the word value, but it's meant to be like the of the value of how much you're worth as a whole.
Net worth?
Dang it! High, high school education, folks. High school education.
GDP?
No,
I don't
no.
know.
It's a freaking word libertarians use all the time, but pretty much just like the entire value of a business. Obviously, Disney's entire value overcomes Sony's.
Stock?
No, because stock is
No,
only one part of it.
I guess. Speaking of this, speaking of gross, like a gross money and stuff. So, did you see the stocks for Sony whenever that announcement came out?
No, what happened to their
No.
stocks? No, I didn't see it. What happened to their stocks?
Huh? So I'm right now trying to decrypt what you're saying, but pretty much all I heard was stocks.
What happened? Stocks.
Okay. Pretty much this. It, all I saw was the where it was peaking at currently from that time, and then once when it was like around 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, it just like nosedived. And that was like around the time when people realized, oh, Sony's not letting go of Spider-Man. I see.
Oh, dang it! I had it in my head. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Thought not in the middle of the not a real recording. What was it? What was it?
Wait, you didn't hear anything?
No, I did. I did. I'm just. You reminded me of something. I'm trying to remember. Can't think. Spock, help me, please.
Shoot.
Okay, I lost it.
And it's gone. Didn't do too well. It's gone.
Yep.
Just like the market.
Yeah, it's. Yep. Oh, no, I got it back. I got it back. Okay. So actually, do you want to know who actually broke who which company broke this news?
Which?
Sony.
Really?
Yeah, so pretty much Sony pretty much essentially leaked this info to the press to put pressure on Disney.
Oh. Very smart move. Shoot yourself in the foot so you can get it healed by someone else.
Exactly. And through that you save yourself a potion.
You see, they're big brain. We just can't understand with our small brain.
It's it it's going to be the best trade you ever seen. I tell you what, the best trade you've ever seen. But but as far as of everything we discussed, I honestly just can't wait for the riding on the streets or the claps or the claps of the seals, whichever happens. If Spider-Man goes to Disney or stays with Sony. Um, Jack, who what do you honestly what do you honestly want the result to be?
Can you repeat that? Everything went silent for me.
Okay. I will. The question I was asking is, what do you what do you want the result to be?
Oh, okay. So let's see. The result I want. Really, honestly, I can go either way. Either way for me.
Really?
I don't know. Just like I kind of want to see it crash and burn, and I kind of want to see it catch my attention somewhat. Like for me, Sony is the crash and burn in a way. Marvel is the eh, oh, they're making a new one. Okay, type of thing.
Okay, so pretty much just my position, but just a bit softer. Because since
It's
you
just
don't have
like
an eternal hatred for MCU
like
Spider-Man, you just have indifference.
that's the thing. I don't know. I like the character for the MCU. It just like I just never bothered watching the actual movies. I don't know. They just never caught my attention from the trailers.
Yeah, as one that I can say about Homecoming, it to me, and this is probably by design, it just felt too teen drama for me.
Yeah.
And I can't really count that as a fault because that was actually the intention, and it succeeded. It's just that for me, I don't want teenage Peter Parker. I want a young adult Peter Parker. Because literally because you can do a lot more with a young adult Peter Parker. In fact, I remember, I don't know which writer said this. I don't know if it was Stan Lee. I think it was actually Stan Lee who said this. I could be wrong, but I think him or Steve Ditko decided to age up Peter because they literally could not think of any other more stories for him as a teenager.
Well, there you have it. Even then, I think more of an adult superhero is more interesting than teen drama.
Oh yeah, I mean look at the original trilogy.
Oh yeah.
In, and you can argue that the first movie it's more he was a senior in high school. You can argue that's more of the the uh, the startings of an adult rather than the teen movie.
Pretty much.
So yeah, so I guess uh, ignoring our specific opinions about the new Spider-Man, we're both probably the same boat of we'll just wait and see. But either way, we're gonna be sitting on the sidelines with our popcorn ready.
I mean, hey, when I heard of this news on day one, hour one, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good for the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And indeed it was. Indeed it was. I just the only thing I wish I knew, only thing that soured it was that there wasn't a official like decision made since they're still negotiating. I was like, oh, that kind of disappoints a little bit. But still though, it's gonna happen. It's going to happen, and I'll be there right on Twitter to either uh to either do some light trolling or to be like, in other news, nothing happened. That everything's going exactly as they are. And by the silence, I believe he cannot hear me.
Nope, I could not hear you. I was like wondering, wow, this is pretty quiet after that. So
Again, I apologize, folks, for audio issues. I I don't know what's going on my end.
it's not really the audio. I think it's our connection of some sorts. Even though we have pretty good connection, it hasn't dropped from
Yeah,
green bar whatsoever.
right. Yeah, and actually, it's kind of weird to apologize because we're experiencing this, but in the recording, it's gonna be weird. So I guess don't accept the apology doesn't apply to y'all. Who knows? Maybe this makes some good awkward humor. I don't know. Well, I've done with all my Spider-Man talk. Are you done?
Pretty much, I'm done with my Spider-Man talk.
All right then. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to our closer of the podcast, and of course, as always, I've asked Jack, what is your music recommendation for the
All
week?
right, so I got a bundle for you. All right, hear me out, Hack. I got a bundle. So it's gonna be bonus content right now. It's
Do I
gonna
have to pay for it?
no. Well, probably.
Dang it!
So
All right, go on.
my my song recommendation will also come with a game recommendation, and the song itself is, of course, one of the soundtracks for this game. I've been playing it for quite a while. I love it. It's adorable. The song title is called "Your Contract Has Expired" by Pascal Michael Stifle, and this song comes from the game A Hat in Time. I know Hack has heard me talk about A Hat in Time every now and then, probably even more than just every now and then, because I
No,
have,
just every now and then.
yeah, but even then, I pretty much at one time ranted over him about the original soundtrack that could have been to the soundtrack that has been made by Mr. Stifle. You gotta listen to it. It's really, really good. I would say all most of their songs are pretty good, especially for this game. This one's by far one of my most favorite boss fights in the whole game, so you gotta listen to it.
You heard that, folks? That is a decree from Jack himself. If I do not see a hat in time in your Steam library, so help me God. Carry on.
There you go. That's my song recommendation with a game recommendation.
And with that, is there anything of noteworthy or new that you'll be playing, watching, reading, or maybe even seeing? Well, no, I said seeing already. Dang it! What you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, I am going to still play more League. I've been getting onto that game quite more. I am going to take a small break from Final Fantasy, mostly because the content is just not there anymore for me. Just because I literally finished the content for yeah I pretty much during summer break I no like that content to where I'm just stuck sitting and doing the same things over and over again.
It's a problem, folks. It plagues all of us.
So yeah, that's the big problem for me in MMOs. I kind of tend, if I do like the MMO, I'll tend to do things to where I just can't do anything anymore. Sure, there's always something to do, level a character, level a job. I, I just don't, I don't have it in me.
Now to the next expansion, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right then. Well, with that finished, I'm gonna go on with my closer, and that would be finally this week. No delays. My review of Sandman Volume 2 will be up, and you can look forward to me awkwardly holding the phone camera for a good solid at least 10 minutes. Nevertheless, it is coming. No more delays, no more alternatives. It's coming. Secondly, I am still playing Devil May Cry 5, and I finally can play as Dante, and oh, it's so fun. Yeah, it's so fun. Oh, I wish Jackie can play it. You gotta play it. You gotta play it. It's so fun. It's you know what it is? the feeling it gives me is the feeling similar to how with you in clicker games. Except while you're off clicking away getting useless points, I'm killing demons. Demons.
No, you're killing pixels. That's what you're doing.
I'm killing pixels that I'm killing pixels that identify themselves as demons.
And so, and some of them identify as an Apache helicopter.
And I'm gonna cut that with a sword too. And yeah, so Salmon Volume 2, it will be up this week. Gonna continue with Devil May Cry 5, and and hopefully soon. Oh, and hopefully soon I can go. I will be able to go back into reading the current comics as they are, because things are getting interesting. And hopefully, and but that's gonna be how well um I can put that into my daily plan. So let so but I am saying it for a record that I do want to not just review old stuff but also review newer stuff. And with that said, I'm gonna go. On that said, we're gonna go ahead and close the show. If you enjoy the podcast, don't forget to give a like. Give us a comment. What do you think of this whole Spider-Man dilemma with Disney and Sony? Where do you stand? And tell me how am I so wrong about the current Spider-Man? Because I'm pretty sure some people have some strong opinions in regards to my stance on
I can
this.
see the dislikes
And as
right now.
good, that means we're getting some attention. And as well, of course, don't forget to ring that bell so you can see what new videos are coming up. Again, we're not just a podcast show. I on my side we also do comic reviews, and we are still gonna upload our second gameplay video, which will be coming soon. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes episode 8 of the Hack Jack Show. My name is Hack, and I'm signing off.
See you guys.